Deputies here in Florida with more questions than answers.
Everything humanly possible to end this peaceably.
After a shootout with a 12 and 14-year-old. July 4th, just over a month away.
Vice President, I'd like to lay out our plan for June.
The White House beginning a major push towards COVID independence. Plus, forget about too young to drive.
I have no idea how a 9-year-old can get the keys to a car or even have the knowledge to drive a vehicle that far.
The girl who caused this accident should have been in a booster seat.
She's driving?
These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Zitlali Solache, and today is Thursday, June 3rd, 2021.
From the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Shots fired between two children and a law enforcement officer here in Florida. The suspects allegedly breaking into a home and aiming their weapons at a sheriff's deputy. A new view of body cam footage and aerial video were released by authorities, showing two children and a deputy responding to the scene. The network's Andre Wixon looks at why gun violence is on the rise.
A disturbing scene in Volusia County, Florida.
Shooting out the rear window toward my direction. Stand by.
The sheriff released a compilation of clips from body footage of what happened after he said a 12-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl broke into his house and grabbed guns that were inside. Documents show there were runaways from Florida United Methodist Children's Home. Police say the pair fired shots at them multiple times over more than half an hour. The 14-year-old girl was shot and badly injured.
Whoever's got a med kit, some type of med kit, I need it up here now in the garage.
The 12-year-old boy was arrested. Neither he nor deputies were hurt.
Where have we gone wrong that 12-year-old and 14-year-old think it's okay to take on law enforcement?
But what happened here may be part of a bigger problem. In another part of Florida racked by gun violence, the cop is pointing to the courts.
Our courts have been shut down. Courts are not holding people accountable.
Last year, many of America's largest cities saw a more than 30% increase in homicides amid protests over racial injustice, a collapsing economy, and the pandemic.
Mental health issues, we see financial stress and unemployment, and the availability of guns is a constant in the United States, and we've seen record gun sales again in 2021.
With it, gun violence is on the rise too. Andre Wixon, South Florida Media Network.
Florida enters a new hurricane season this week, and in Miami-Dade County, the U.S. metropolitan area most exposed to sea level rise, authorities continue their race against flooding. A U.S. Corps of Engineers plan focused on storm surge in Miami, but not on seasonal flooding, is under revision after the community reacted coldly to a planned 20-foot sea wall. Other parts of the proposal, such as surge barriers, have received more support. What's still unclear is the funding for a completed Miami flooding solution, which will need $4 billion just to phase out the area's 120,000 septic tanks. Billions of dollars approved this morning after Governor Ron DeSantis signed the state budget. The $100 billion budget signing was yesterday morning at a restaurant in New Smyrna Beach. The state funds include the $1,000 bonuses which Governor Ron DeSantis had promised to Florida teachers and principals. President Biden continuing this morning to encourage Americans to get vaccinated.
I promised you we'd marshal a wartime effort to defeat this virus, and that's just what we're doing. The more people we get vaccinated, the more success we're going to have in our fight against this virus.
The president, speaking in Washington, D.C., addresses his plan to get 70% of Americans fully vaccinated by the 4th of July. Nearly 170 million Americans have received at least one COVID-19 shot, which is 51% of the U.S. population. With so many Americans fully vaccinated, the country's attention now moves to COVID-19 vaccine boosters. The federal government is now looking for volunteers for a trial to test mixing the 3 different approved vaccines as a booster. They are looking for a combination that will minimize side effects and work well for people regardless of which vaccine they originally received. It's a workout that increases your endurance by training at high intensity levels. The network's Marilyn Beltran reports on how beginners can tackle CrossFit and even compete.
We are here at Caution CrossFit, where the CrossFit Open Games are taking place.
CrossFit is a form of high-intensity interval training. It is a strength and conditioning workout that is made up of functional movement performed at a high-intensity level.
There's honestly anybody in the world can participate. Typically, CrossFit sends out, puts up a link where you can go ahead and just copy it. Anybody just pays $20, whether you're just a regular gym goer, or whether you're one of the world's top athletes. All you do is pay $20. And what they do is they kind of separate you into separate continents and put you on 2 leaderboards, one worldwide and one for your continent. So whether it's North America, Europe, South America.
El Open siempre es una experiencia muy retadora porque todos los años siempre viene algo nuevo. Dave Castro siempre trae alguna prueba diferente, algo que nunca hemos hecho. Entonces siempre va a ser una experiencia retadora y que te va a llevar o que te va a exigir al máximo en tus capacidades.
Little by little, we'll start going into more like the high skill movements, like more like gymnastics, and then as we get closer into the Open, we start kind of doing away with so much weight and so much load, and we start upping the intensity and start maybe lighter weights, moving much faster and focusing more on our conditioning to ramp up our cardio for the Open.
The CrossFit Open Games are an annual competition in which professional athletes and beginners can compete. However, it is really important for professional athletes because if they achieve a good performance, they qualify for the World CrossFit Games, which is the most important CrossFit competition.
If you're interested in joining CrossFit, Caution CrossFit is a great place to start your CrossFit journey. Reporting for South Florida Media Network, I'm Marilyn Beltran.
Turning to the NHL, a brutal scene in Winnipeg as Canadiens forward Jake Evans takes a hard hit from Mark Stiefel last night. The Montreal Canadiens' 5-3 win over the Winnipeg Jets in Game 1 was overshadowed by a scary scene in the last seconds. As Evans scored from a wraparound, Stiefel skated him into full speed. Evans took a hard hit onto the ice, striking head first. Evans then left in a stretcher and gave a thumbs-up sign a few minutes later. In need of a fresh set? A nail painting robot will soon be able to give you a manicure. That's still ahead, and so is this story.
I have no idea how a 9-year-old can get the keys to a car.
A joyride to the ocean, leaving 2 sisters in some deep water this morning. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
It's all of our responsibility to slow the spread of the coronavirus. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and stay home unless absolutely necessary. You can still use your outdoor spaces like yards and decks. It's also okay to go for a walk or exercise outside. Wear a cloth face covering, stay at least 6 feet away from other people, try not to touch any surfaces, and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Things could be stranger, but I don't know how. I'm going through changes now. Could spend a lifetime trying to figure it out. I'm going through changes, through all of the strangeness. I'm going through changes now.
Juvenile joyride officers thrown for a loop as a crash scene involving 2 sisters is a miracle case this morning. The one behind the wheel, only 9 years old. Body camera footage showed the moment officers walked up to a car accident and found the little girl in the driver's seat.
I have no idea how a 9-year-old can get the keys to a car or even have the knowledge to drive a vehicle that far.
The little girl and her 4-year-old sister, who live near Salt Lake City, say they were heading to California to swim in the ocean. They crashed their parents' car on an expressway ramp, hitting a big rig. The girls and the truck driver were not hurt. The world's first nail painting robot has hit the market, adding another way to get polished up. Startup company Clockwork introduced the robot to the market last Friday at a pop-up in San Francisco. Customers can pay $8 and try the 10-minute manicure. The robot can only paint nails, but there are 2 additional companies working on advancing this technology to the full manicure process. That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Zitlali Solache. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.